Imagine a floating island of ice, vast and ancient, stretching as far as the eye can see, its surface glistening under the pale Antarctic sun. This is not just any chunk of ice, it's a frozen giant, shaped by centuries of relentless cold and powerful winds. Drifting silently through the cold southern ocean, it moves with a quiet majesty, almost as if time itself has slowed down to watch its passage. This is Iceberg A-23A, the largest iceberg in the world, a true titan among icebergs, dwarfing everything else in its path. For decades it was a sleeping giant, locked in place and barely moving. But now it has awakened, embarking on an epic journey that has captured the attention of scientists and the public alike across the globe. This iceberg is not just a big block of frozen water. It is a time capsule from Antarctica, carrying secrets of Earth's past climate, with layers of ancient snow and ice that have trapped tiny bubbles of air from thousands of years ago. As it moves, it interacts with the ocean and atmosphere, influencing marine life around it. Seals, penguins and seabirds find shelter and food in its shadow, while the cold meltwater it releases can change ocean currents and nutrient flows. We are witnessing a unique event, the final voyage of the world's oldest and largest iceberg, a spectacle that may never be seen again in our lifetimes. The name A-23A comes from a system used by the US National Ice Center, which tracks and monitors these icy giants as they drift across the seas. The A indicates its origin from the Antarctic quadrant facing the Atlantic Ocean, a region known for producing some of the largest icebergs on Earth. The number 23 means it was the 23rd major iceberg tracked in that area, and the A at the end shows it was the first piece to break off from its parent iceberg. For anyone trying to picture this behemoth, think of a city skyline, but instead of skyscrapers, there are towering cliffs of ice rising hundreds of feet above the water and stretching for miles. Its journey is not just a spectacle, it is a significant scientific event, offering researchers a rare chance to study how such a massive iceberg affects the ocean, weather and ecosystems as it travels. The sheer volume of fresh water locked within this iceberg is staggering, making its path and final destination a subject of intense interest. As it melts, it will release enough water to fill countless lakes, subtly reshaping the environment wherever it goes. The story of A-23A begins in 1986, a year that would mark a dramatic moment in the history of Antarctica's ever-changing landscape. On the vast frozen expanse of the Filchner-Ronne ice shelf, deep in the heart of Antarctica, forces of nature were quietly building toward a spectacular event. A huge section of this ancient ice shelf broke away in a process known as calving, giving birth to the colossal iceberg now known as A-23A. It was a slow, powerful tearing of ice, an immense fracture that separated a piece of the continent that had been locked in place for thousands of years, shaped by relentless cold and pressure. At that moment, A-23A became one of the largest icebergs ever recorded, a floating giant that dwarfed entire cities and rivaled the size of some countries. The Filchner-Ronne ice shelf itself is a critical component of the Antarctic ice sheet, acting as a buffer that slows the flow of glaciers into the Southern Ocean. Ice shelves are constantly in motion, shifting and creaking under their own immense weight, and calving is the natural way they balance the steady accumulation of snow and ice from the interior. The sheer scale of A-23A was staggering. Imagine a landmass the size of a small country suddenly breaking free and setting sail into the frigid Southern Ocean. The initial moments after calving are critical for an iceberg as it adjusts to its newfound freedom, surrounded by a chaotic field of ice debris. Powerful ocean currents and fierce Antarctic winds begin to act upon the iceberg immediately, determining its path and shaping its destiny. For most large icebergs born in this region, the journey is a slow, steady drift northwards, gradually melting as they travel into warmer waters. But A-23A had a different plan. Instead of following the usual route, it embarked on a unique journey, setting the stage for an unexpected fate that would capture the world's attention. Soon after it broke away from the Antarctic ice shelf, A-23A's enormous keel, stretching hundreds of meters below the surface, became firmly lodged on the seabed of the Weddell Sea. This wasn't just a minor delay. The iceberg was effectively anchored in place by its own immense size and the unique topography of the ocean floor. This unexpected grounding transformed the world's largest iceberg into a semi-permanent ice island, marooned in the same spot for almost 40 years, longer than many people's entire lifetimes. The Weddell Sea is infamous among polar explorers and scientists for its harsh, unpredictable conditions. Its swirling, powerful currents and thick sea ice often trap icebergs, making escape nearly impossible. Yet for an iceberg of this size to become physically stuck for such an extended period is extremely rare. Most icebergs eventually break free, but A-23A defied the odds. This long pause in its journey meant it was preserved in the frigid Antarctic waters, melting at a glacial pace. The cold acted like a natural freezer, slowing down the loss of ice. Year after year, satellites passed overhead, capturing images of the iceberg in almost exactly the same location, a silent sentinel in the frozen sea. Scientists around the world watched with fascination, wondering if this frozen giant would ever break free from its icy prison, or if it would remain stuck forever. The long stasis of A-23A became a scientific mystery, highlighting just how much we still have to learn about the forces that govern these polar giants and the unpredictable nature of the Antarctic environment. It had found a spot where it was perfectly wedged, locked in place by the contours of the ocean floor and the weight of its own frozen mass. This long, patient wait is a crucial part of its story, a chapter defined by stillness, endurance, and the slow passage of time. Its years spent grounded in the pristine Antarctic waters protected it, preserving its mass and setting the stage for the next dramatic phase of its journey. To grasp the magnitude of iceberg A-23A, consider its dimensions. Its surface area is approximately 4,000 square kilometers, larger than many cities. The iceberg is also incredibly thick, with an average thickness of around 400 meters. The vast majority of this mass, about 90%, is hidden beneath the ocean's surface. The total weight of A-23A is estimated to be just under 1 trillion tons. This is why the iceberg's journey is dictated by massive ocean currents and strong winds. As it moves, it displaces a phenomenal amount of water and creates its own microclimate. The cold air mass above the iceberg can influence local weather patterns. The sheer scale of A-23A is what makes its journey so significant. It is one of the largest such pieces ever tracked by modern science. Understanding its dimensions is key to appreciating the power of the natural world. It operates far beyond our everyday human experience. After decades of being grounded, something began to change around 2020. Scientists noticed the iceberg was starting to pivot and shift. It had finally lost enough mass to lift its massive keel off the seabed. The initial movement was painstakingly slow. By 2022, it had begun a more determined northward drift. The world's largest iceberg was finally on the move. As it floated north, it reached the vicinity of the South Orkney Islands. Here, its journey paused once more, caught in complex ocean currents. This temporary stop was another point of interest for scientists. During its time near the islands, A-23A continued to be a subject of intense observation. This pause was like a brief intermission in its grand voyage. In December 2024, A-23A began to move with renewed purpose. It had broken free from the currents that held it in place. This was the moment it truly entered the main highway for icebergs leaving Antarctica. The Antarctic circumpolar current acts like a massive conveyor belt. The renewed movement marked its definitive escape from the Antarctic region. Scientists watched as it picked up speed. Its path was set on a well-known trajectory, often referred to as Iceberg Alley. The journey through Iceberg Alley is a one-way trip. It is carried relentlessly towards its ultimate demise. For A-23A, the Great Escape was the start of the most dramatic phase of its life story. Its speed increased to several kilometers per day, a blistering pace for an object of its size. By early 2025, A-23A was approaching the island of South Georgia. This remote outpost is directly in the path of Iceberg Alley, as A-23A drifted closer, concern grew for the island's fragile ecosystem. If it grounded in the shallow waters, it could block foraging routes of wildlife. The approach to South Georgia became a focal point of global attention. Scientists monitored the iceberg's trajectory with precision, Fortunately, the powerful currents guided it on a path that skirted the shallowest waters. While it did not ground itself, its proximity still had an impact. The encounter with South Georgia was a pivotal moment. For many large icebergs, this is where their journey ends. For A-23A, however, the journey continued into the warmer waters of the South Atlantic. The journey of Iceberg A-23A is a priceless scientific opportunity. Scientists study this iceberg as a giant floating laboratory. As it travels, it provides data about the ocean and climate. Its meltwater releases mineral dust, acting as a fertilizer for the ocean. This process triggers large blooms of phytoplankton visible from space. By tracking A-23A, scientists understand nutrient distribution across the Southern Ocean. A-23A offers a unique chance to study the physics of iceberg decay. This information is vital for improving models of sea level rise. Studying A-23A also helps with maritime safety. The data collected will provide insights into ocean circulation and climate change. As of September 2025, Iceberg A-23A continues its journey northeast. The iceberg is now in significantly warmer waters. The process of decay has accelerated dramatically. Every day it loses millions of tons of ice to melting. Large cracks are appearing, shedding smaller icebergs. The end will be a slow and steady disintegration. Eventually, fragments will melt away completely. The legacy of A-23A will live on through scientific data. It has provided insights into ocean currents and the behavior of mega icebergs. The story of A-23A serves as a case study for future climate change predictions. Its journey is a poignant reminder of the transient yet powerful nature of the natural world.